Hey, hello, what is up guys? It's Jamie, aka the Economist, coming at you guys today with a list of 10 trading tips that you guys can use to be better traders in FIFA. These tips are going to help you guys be more efficient, to make less mistakes on the market, and to make sure that you guys are making more coins over time while trading. Now with FIFA 17 just around the corner, this is the perfect time to have this kind of video because you're going to want to sharpen up your skills so that FIFA 17 can be your year to make the millions and millions of coins that you've always wanted to make. Granted, some of these tips are going to be pretty darn basic, but you guys wouldn't believe how many times I've seen even the most experienced of traders making some of these mistakes. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first tip that I had for you guys is that people don't like buying cards when they're on low fitness. And I know that's an obvious sort of tidbit of information, but it really is true, especially when you're dealing with high rated players. Two things that you can actually do to take advantage of this. The first is that you can make a squad, and I'm going to call it like a fitness squad, right? And I actually have one made right here. I don't have any cards in it right now, but basically what I do is when I'm trading or when I'm mass bidding and I get a card that has low fitness in it, I put them into this card and then I wait. And basically what I do is once I fill this squad up, I'll apply a squad fitness to this entire squad, and then every single player in the reserves, in the club, in the actual team itself, all 22 players will get full fitness again. And I'll actually save money when it comes time to listing things back up because I'll be able to sell them for more. The second thing that you can do to take advantage of this sort of phenomenon is actually that when you're bidding, you can actually look to focus on the players that have low fitness, because obviously the demand for them is going to be much lower and is going to be unreasonably lower than it is for the players that have full fitness that are the same card. So what you can do is you can probably get some pretty good deals on those cards. So the second tip that I have for you guys is that if you guys have chemistry styles laying around in your club like I do from FUT Draft award packs or pack openings or whatever it may be, don't just have them in your club and don't just sell them. You can actually make more coins from these chemistry styles if you put them on your players before you go and sell them. I actually made a video about this, I'll link it on the screen right now, but people are willing to pay thousands of coins more, especially on their high rated players, just to get chemistry styles on their players. Now obviously that effect is going to be closer to like 100 coins or maybe 200 coins if you're talking about players that are lower rated, but for higher rated players like Suarez, Aguero, Ibrahimovic, Messi, Ronaldo, whatever you want to, whatever player that you're listing that's high rated, people are willing to pay way more for like a sniper Ronaldo than they are for a non-chemistry style Ronaldo. The third tip that I have for you guys is that if you're relisting the same type of card, multiple copies of it at the same exact price, I don't recommend using the relist all button, which is triggered by the R2 or right trigger on the Xbox. And the reason for saying that is because basically what that does is it puts all those cards up at the exact same instant, at the exact same price, and what that's going to look like to the average person on the FUT market is that you're trying to price fix them or jib them of actually getting a good deal. So what I recommend doing for cards like that is actually listing them manually one at a time and giving a couple of seconds in between. This is especially effective if you're listing consumables. Really don't recommend listing up like squad fitnesses all at the exact same time because it just goes at this like one weird big block of rare squad fitnesses across the trade block, and people are pretty suspicious of that and they'd probably just scroll to the next page and skip all over your squad fitness and they won't sell. Now that's not to say that you can't use it for a situation like this. I've got a couple of informs here and there's no reason at all why I can't just go ahead and use the relist all function. That actually makes no difference. No one will know that I use that function at all. So the next tip that I have for you guys is a sniping trick, and it actually makes sure that you guys are getting fresh searches every time you search up on the transfer market. For those of you that don't know, if you actually keep your parameters the same when you're sniping players, sometimes it actually won't give you a fresh search when you're searching it up. I think it's a server thing and they don't want to overload the servers for people that are just doing it back and forth, but there's actually a way to sort of get around that system, and that is if you change one of the criteria. Now without having to adjust your maximum and minimum buy now, which is sort of a pain because sometimes you could go too low or too high, what you can actually do is just set your max price to anything above your max buy now, and that's not going to eliminate any of the cards that you could potentially get. It's just going to be something that you can change. So for example, I'm going to go ahead, search this up on the market, and then there's one going for 58k, so I'm going to back out. I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bit lower, and then I'm going to go ahead and up here and I'm going to change the max price to 138,000, and then go back and keep changing it just like this, and after a while you can actually do it sort of as like muscle memory. And what that does actually is it makes it so that you can basically get in and get out of the search and refresh it as quickly as possible to make sure that you're getting there as soon as possible to that deal. Okay, so for those of you that are wondering how I managed to reset the max price so quickly, I'm actually going to show you guys the actual button combination that I use right now. So as you can see, I have the max price tab selected right here at 205,000 coins, and what I'm going to be doing is we're going to show you the actual combination that I use to reset it so quickly. So first things first, you're going to take your left stick right here and you're going to flick it to the right, and that's going to move the max price from 2,500 coins to 2,600 coins. And that's going to make it so that obviously when we click the actual search button, it's going to have a fresh parameter to search. So to ready yourself for the actual search, you're going to press B, and that's going to ready yourself for the actual execution of the search, which you're going to be doing with Y. Now, once you've done that, 99 times out of 100, you're going to get this message saying that there's nothing on the transfer market meeting your criteria because you're going to be sniping, and obviously nothing's going to be listed at the time that you're looking. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to acknowledge that with the pressing of A, and then you're going to press A again to get yourself back into the max price tab, where you can then again flick to the right and restart the entire process. So again, sped up, or not sped up, again it's the flick to the right, press B, press Y to search, double tap A to get yourself back into the tab, and then sort of repeat that entire process. Sort of sped up, it's going to look something like this. And once you get good at it, you can actually search through pretty darn quickly. And what that's going to allow you to do is going to allow you to see as many snipes as possible, search through the market as many times as possible, and you should be, if you're a little bit lucky, the first one to actually see the snipe. So the next tip that I have for you guys has to do with mass bidding on players. Now, say for example, I'm mass bidding on this Surge right here, and I've decided that the price that I'm going to mass bid him at is at 3,500 coins. What you're going to go do, obviously, is going to search him up on the market, set your max price to 3,500 coins, and then you're going to scroll through and look for cards. Say for this card right here, as my first example, I could make a bid on it, say at 3,500 coins. Once I do that though, the next card that I see that has an open bid on it, I'm actually not going to bid on it. And the reason for doing that is because if you clog up the transfer market so that if you like monopolize this entire page at 3,500, what's going to happen is you're just effectively rising the price of that card pretty much for that time being that you're actually bidding on it. And sort of what that does is it sort of counteracts your own ability to win any of those cards. So what I would do is I'm going to leave one of these blank, like every 2 or 3 that you bid on, then leave one blank, then bid on 2 or 3, then leave one blank, then leave, etc., etc. And what that's going to do is it's going to leave room for those people that are the casual buyers just trying to actually pick up one of these cards, and you're going to have less chance of you actually getting outbid. Now, the next tip that I have for you guys has to do with how you guys list up your cards. Now, if you're in no particular hurry to sell on your cards, this is how I would list it up. So I've got this Benashia card going here for 2,000 coins at his minimum buy now, and I reasonably think that I could sell him on for that price. So what I've done is I've listed up the starting price one iteration below that minimum buy now at 1,900 coins, and then I've set the buy now at 2,200 coins. And the reason that I've done that is because it's going to sort of incite this bidding war. The card is going to be attractive to people because it's actually below the minimum buy now, which is going to make people attracted to it. And then what's going to happen is people are going to get frustrated once they're bidding on it, they're going to get competitive, and then hopefully what happens is they're just going to get frustrated and then buy it at the 2,200 price, and that's going to actually make me more profit than I would have if I just listed at 2,000 coins. Now, this isn't the most efficient way to sell things on. A couple of times it could actually go through the transfer block and no one's even going to look at it once, but if you are in no rush to list cards on, this is actually a much more efficient way to do so, and it's even more effective if you list it at night. Now, the next tip that I have for you guys has to do with how you're relisting your cards, and it is a pretty basic one, but it's a really big time saver that you definitely need to know to speed up your workflow when you're trading. So basically what it is that you can use your left and right trigger to actually change the minimum and maximum buy now, send it all the way to the bottom or all the way to the top. So again, if you use your left trigger, you can actually send it all the way to the bottom, and if you use your right trigger, you can send it all the way to the top, and that makes it a lot easier when you're selling things that are going way below their PRP ratio, and it's at the way bottom, and you don't want to have to like manually set it all the way down to like 1,200 coins or whatever this card's going for. I think it's 2,000 coins, so that's definitely a big time saver. Now, this next tip has to do with a mistake that I see people making far too often for how simple it actually is, and that is they don't know how to figure out efficiently what the minimum price is that they have to sell something on in order to make a profit because of the 5% EA tax, or they don't know how many coins they're going to get back after they've sold something, and they know that there's a 5% tax. So what they do is they take the price that they're selling it at, multiply it by 0.5, take that figure that they've got, and then subtract it from their original price that they're selling it, when there's actually a much easier way to do that. And my controller batteries are low. There's a much easier way to do that, and that is take the price and then multiply it by 0.95. That effectively does all that subtraction work for you and just spits out the price that you're actually going to get back after you sold it, or the minimum price that you need to sell it at in order to make profit. So tip number 9 that I have for you guys has to do with position change cards. And if you guys have these laying around in your club like I do from FUT Draft reward packs or pack openings or whatever it may be, there's actually a more efficient way than you can make use of these rather than just going and selling them on the transfer market, and that is actually listing them with your players on the market. So, and this is really effective with players that are sort of rare or have a low card weight. So for example, team of the season cards that are really rare, or silver cards that are really rare, or really high rated players. If you put these cards on them, you can actually get away with listing them at thousands of coins higher than what they should be going for, especially the ones that are really rare, like changing a striker to a cam or a center mid, or changing a center attacking mid to a center defensive mid. Those are really effective uses of these these position change cards, and they'll actually make you a lot more money than you would if you just went and sold them on. So tip number 10 is probably more applicable for FIFA 17 than it is for FIFA 16, but maybe you can still make use of it. And that is, you can actually get a bonus to your contracts if you have a lot of managers. That 3% plus manager thing that you see from the negotiations on every single manager that you get is actually a stat that is going towards your negotiation for your contract bonus. As you can see right here, I have a 36% contract bonus, but you can actually get that up to 50%. And what that will actually do is it's going to take the plus 13 contracts that I'm going to give to this Reina card originally, and it's going to turn that into an additional 36% of those contracts. And that's even more effective if you use it on a rare contract just like this. It's going to take that 28 and then boost it up by 36%, giving you a lot more contracts that you can apply to this Reina. And now this is really effective for two reasons. One, and this is the obvious reason, it's going to make it so that you can play with these cards for longer, and it's going to save you money in the long run if you play enough games to make it worth your while. And then number two is it actually makes it a lot more attractive to people when they're looking at cards on the transfer market and they see that your card, for example, has 24 contracts instead of 7 contracts because you have a manager bonus on your cards, and that's going to make it so that you're going to be able to list your cards marginally more expensive than other people and still be able to sell them on. Okay, so that's all I've got for this video. If you guys do want to see more videos like this where I share my top 10 tips or my top 10 mistakes that I see people make when they're trading, just let me know down in the comments. I've got a ton more stuff like this to share with you guys if you guys want in future videos. But if you guys find any of these trading tips helpful, I would appreciate a like rating or any other sort of feedback that you could leave on this video. It did take a lot of effort to put together for you guys. But other than that, it's been Jamie, aka the Fighter Counters. Keep your trade balance full, stay rational, and I'll see you on Saturday for another video.